Hey guys, this is Alex from Your Classroom Helper, and in this video, I want to talk to you about Plott, which is a new app that allows you to create local tours. So this idea in and of itself is really cool, but I want to show you some other educational implications and some great ways that you can use this as an educator to help engage your students. To download the app, you go to plott.app, and this is the same screen that you'll use when you create your tour. So I'm going to come back to this screen and walk you through the steps of how to create your tour after I talk to you about some ideas and ways you can use this in your classroom. So first of all, you can use it the way it's currently being advertised and create a local tour. This might be a great idea if you're a history teacher and you want your students to dig a little deeper and learn about the history of your local city or town. If you are putting on a college fair or a service fair, you could create a scavenger hunt in which you include different service organizations in this tour to introduce your students to different volunteer opportunities they can do. You could create a tour of a local museum, zoo, or if you have a really cool geologic natural formation close to you, to get students to engage and dive deeper into your curriculum. You could also create a tour for students to complete when they're driving to a field trip destination, and at certain points along the way, they can answer a question that pertains to what they're going to be learning on their field trip. And finally, you can just get students to start learning more outdoors. So you could either have them complete a scavenger hunt where they're identifying different types of plants, or you could just have them travel to different stations outside and answer a different question that pertains to your curriculum. All right, now I'm going to show you how to create a tour using Plott. All right, I am back at plott.app, which is the main screen, and I'm going to select create a tour. Okay, if this is the first time you're creating a tour, you select create new tour. If you've already created a tour and you want to see it or edit it, you can select the private key option and enter the key that you're going to get after you save your tour. So I'm selecting create new tour. All right, and this is the main page. So you can change your tour name. I'm going to call mine demo, and then you can write a description and say what your tour is about. Okay, you can enter a picture in if you want. I'm not going to do that right now. All right, so there's lots of different things that you can save to your tour. You have the option of saving a checkpoint, and this is basically the GPS location. You can save text, and text might be something nice to add if you want your user to look for a certain landmark. You can add an image, so you can upload a photo and enter it here. A question, so if you're using this for an assessment purpose, you can add your question here. You can add multiple options to have a multiple choice question. A link, so if you want to link to a web address, you can add the link right here. And then finally, you can even enter a sound bite. Okay, I'm going to walk you through the tour that I'm creating. So I named it Duke Gardens Tour. I'll come back and edit some of those later. But something that's really important that you always need to do is make sure that you save your tour, because there's not an auto save option. There's also not a way to come back to your tour. It's not associated with any sort of account. So you need to make sure that you save the key that they give you when you create the tour. Another thing as educators is just to make sure that your key won't distract your students. Let's see, I have to click something before I can save it. So the key is Jonathan's Jolly Jury. So that Plott key is fine, but as educators, you know, sometimes students can get distracted by things, and if the line of text can be stretched to be something even slightly inappropriate, they may be distracted. So just make sure that your key is something that you're happy with. If not, I don't know another way around just creating a new tour. So that's why I just like to go ahead and save that right away so you can have your key. I'm going to go ahead and save that key. That way I can come back and edit and view this tour. Something else I would recommend is to have your tour, when you're initially creating it, to create it on a Google spreadsheet or a Google Doc. That way you have some sort of other backup in case something happens and you lose your tour. So for my tour, I went ahead and created a Google Sheet with all of my information on here. So I have my GPS location that I actually did using Google Maps on my phone, even though it does have the GPS option on the app, and information about what that location is of, the question I want to have included. And so I'll show you how I'm going to translate that back onto the app creation site. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is enter a GPS location. So I'm going to select the checkpoint option. This button right here will zero in on your exact GPS location. So if you are walking your tour and you want to know the exact location of where you are, you can go ahead and select that button. I went ahead and got my location here, and so I'm just going to go ahead and enter this right here. So this is going to be the start of my tour. So I entered it in, I pushed enter, and this map looks correct. This is the starting location of the Sarah P. Duke Gardens, and then I'm going to go ahead and save that. All right, and so this is my first location. I don't know what that is, so I'm going to go ahead and remove it. I'm going to save it, and my first checkpoint is saved on there. I'm going to go ahead and enter some text so my user will know what I'm expecting them to do. So I'll say, welcome to the Duke Gardens. Log in and take a right. Okay, so just something so you can let your user know what you're expecting them to do. Okay, so let's assume my user has walked in. They're looking for the next checkpoint. I'm going to add my next checkpoint in, and I want them to go to this prickly pear plant. Here is the GPS coordinates. Click enter. That looks about right. I'm going to save this. And when they get to the prickly pear plant, I want to ask them a question. I want them to use a web address to answer their question. So I'm going to add a link here. All right, so here is my link. I'm going to add my question, my spreadsheet again. Okay, what's the fruit of a prickly pear called? It's called tuna. Interesting. Okay, so I can enter my answers in. This one I can mark as correct. That way it'll let me know right away, and then you can put some other options in. Why not? And fish theme here. Okay, and then save. All right, so remember that even if you save your question, that's still not saving your tour. So you're going to want to save it again up at the top here. Okay, so that wraps up how to use the Plott app. In my next video, I'll show you what the user interface looks like for your user who is taking the tour that you've created. A few more tips. As with any new app, make sure that you're always using the most updated version of the Plott app. Because it's such a new app, they're continually improving and updating it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to the app creator. I asked him some questions and he was very responsive and got right back to me. If you have any questions for me or any comments, go ahead and leave them below. Thanks for watching.